Heartwarming waitress loses job after helping undercover boss discover the life-changing truth everyone's talking about. In the bustling heart of Maplewood, where the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sound of clinking plates, Sarah filled every corner of the diner with light. At 32, her warmth and infectious smile drew in weary travelers, local farmers, and unassuming businessmen alike. Each morning, as sunlight spilled through the window, Sarah poured herself into her job. She juggled late-night shifts with the weight of family responsibilities, an ailing mother at home, and two eager younger siblings looking up to her. This particular Tuesday morning felt heavy. The regulars' dads and teachers and grandmas arrived, smiles ready to greet her. She greeted them back, her laughter like the perfect seasoning on her famous blueberry pie. But today, an unexpected newcomer shuffled through the door. He wore faded jeans and a cap pulled low, his eyes scanning the bustling room. He looked lost. "Hey there," Sarah called, her voice wrapping around him like a warm blanket. "What can I get you?" "Just coffee. I'm not quite sure what to make of this place," he replied, a hint of vulnerability in his voice that melted her heart. With visions of her family weighing on her, she shared her story, how her mother battled illness and how community support kept them afloat. As she served him coffee and warm pie, their laughter echoed against the diner walls, creating a bond unfamiliar yet comforting. Little did she know, this moment of kindness would spiral into a storm. Days later, the sun rose, revealing a gaping hole in her world. The newcomer was an undercover corporate boss. Motivated by a skewed vision of efficiency, he decided the diner needed a drastic overhaul. With no regard for the love Sarah poured into her work, he swooped in, announcing her layoff. The news hit like a freight train. The town erupted in disbelief. The very essence of their community was being threatened. Regular diners, who once saw her as just a waitress, poured their hearts into petitions and rallied around her, sharing stories of resilience that echoed throughout the diner. Tables filled with citizens reminiscing over shared struggles. Fathers spoke of their own hardships. Children listened with wide eyes, and the laughter turned to tears, intertwined in shared memories. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the protests grew louder, Sarah's heart ached with a mix of gratitude and sorrow. With friendships forged and hardship deepening, their voices began to rise above the clatter of dishes. Tensions brewed not just in the diner but across town. The fight wasn't just for Sarah's job, it was for dignity and respect in the face of corporate indifference. The day of the community meeting felt charged with energy and uncertainty. As she prepared to gather her thoughts to speak, the door swung open. It was him, the undercover boss, standing like a ghost at the threshold. Murmurs rushed through the crowd as uncertainty settled thick in the air. Could she face him? Would the voices of the people be enough? In the heartbeat of that moment, everything hung in a delicate balance. Hope flickered as she stood there, ready to fight for her family, for her community. What would happen next? Would this movement take flight, or falter under the looming weight of a single decision? The silence in the diner was palpable as Sarah stood before the familiar figure of the boss, her heart racing like a drum echoing against the walls. She sensed the weight of everyone's gaze, their hopes pinned on her. The man who once held her future in his hands now appeared just as vulnerable in this moment. "Sarah," he said, his voice wavering. "I didn't expect to see you here." She straightened her back, the ache of betrayal tinging the edges of her calm. "Neither did I," she replied, her tone steadier than she felt. "You know why we're all here. You made a choice that impacted not just me, but this entire community." Whispers swirled through the room, uncertainty laced with outrage. She took a deep breath, letting their energy fuel her. This diner is more than just a place to eat. It's a home, a refuge, and now it's under attack. He looked down at his feet, as if the words were heavy stones. "I was just following orders, doing what I thought was best." The crowd reacted as murmurs rose to shouts. "What you thought was best?" An elderly man called. "You don't understand us at all. Just then, a woman stepped forward, her face lined with the wisdom of hardship. You think your decisions are just numbers. To us, they are lives. She gestured toward Sarah, her voice rising above the discord. This young woman took care of my grandson when he was sick. She made meals for families in need. Do you know how much that means? The energy shifted, and every story shared in that moment felt like a lit fuse. One person after another spoke up, recalling Sarah's kindness, a coffee always served on the house, a slice of pie gifted without hesitation. The tension began to swing not toward anger, but an unlikely solidarity. Sarah felt a wave of hope wash over her. This wasn't merely about her job. It was about preserving the fabric of their community. We aren't asking for charity, just respect, she declared, sending a firm gaze across the room. We deserve to be seen, to be acknowledged. The boss lifted his gaze, a flicker of realization sparking in his eyes. I didn't fully understand. I thought I was just improving efficiency. I didn't know exactly, a young student piped up from the back, his hands trembling slightly. You didn't know us, our stories. We're more than your statistics. The undercover boss stood still, the tide of emotion crashing against him. With the weight of the community behind her, Sarah took a step forward. You have a chance to make this right. It's not too late. The plea in her voice hung in the air, resonating like the final note of a song. She could see he was torn, wrestling with the gravity of his past decisions and the warmth radiating from the people who had once been strangers to him. He glanced at the crowd, and silence enveloped the diner once again. Could he offer an olive branch, or would he let the moment slip away? As he opened his mouth, the tension mounted, the diner holding its breath. What would be his decision? Would he embrace the power of community or continue along the cold path of corporate responsibility? And as Sarah stood there, surrounded by those she had touched and who had reached out to support her, she waited, hope battling doubt in her chest. Would this be a turning point, or a refusal that could shatter everything? The question loomed large, casting shadows over the heart of Maplewood. All Sarah could do was hold tight to the voices of her community, desperately hoping that the future they dreamt of could be within grasp. A deep breath left the boss's lips, barely reaching the air through the tightness in his throat. The weight of the moment was palpable. He could feel everyone's eyes on him, those who had relied on Sarah in their toughest times, who found solace and companionship in the diner's warmth. He was on a precipice, poised between two worlds, the cold logic of corporate decisions and the raw, beating heart of this community. I can't just throw everything away. His voice trembled, but his expression hardened slightly, a man wrestling with an internal beast. There are rules, policies. Sarah stepped closer, her resolve igniting even more. Policies don't understand the laughter shared over coffee, the conversations shared in budding relationships here. You can choose to redefine those rules to breathe life back into the community that has been suffocating under numbers and graphs. A ripple of agreement pulsated through the crowd. People nodded, hands clasped together, sharing nervous glances filled with expectation. That's true, the elderly man chimed in again, his voice imbued with conviction. They don't serve us. You have the power to change that. We believe in you. The tension shifted, the fear of the unknown cracking just a bit. The boss looked lost, like a man standing on a dock staring out at the open sea, waves crashing against his resolve. Would he take that leap? I didn't mean to hurt anyone, his voice softened, the words spilling out in an unexpected rush. I wanted to help. I thought I was doing the right thing, but maybe I've lost sight of what that really is. And that's okay, a woman called, stepping out from the front row. Tears shimmered in her eyes. Real change starts with acknowledgement. Just her voice cracked. Just see us. A long silence draped over the diner, weaving through the tables like an unraveling thread. Sarah felt the breath run out of her as she waited, the sheer anticipation hanging in the air thick and electric. Behind him, the kitchen staff had paused their work, hearing the conversations shift into something more profound. The usual clank of dishes faded, replaced by the muted rustle of hope. The clamor of knives and forks was now replaced with the pounding of collective hearts. Then, he nodded slowly, the decision unfolding with palpable tension. I'll take a step back and reevaluate. I need to really understand this place and what it means to you all. Shocked gasps turned into tentative cheers. The murmurs transformed into a ripple of celebration, voices rising in support. Sarah's heart soared. The tide was changing. But, he interjected quickly, I can't promise anything yet. It'll take time. Time is what we need, Sarah replied, her smile breaking through like sunlight after a storm. Let us rebuild this together. Just then, a stray thought crossed her mind. Was this just the beginning? Was the boss's change of heart true, or were there still challenges lurking in the shadows? In that moment, as everything settled into a new rhythm of hopeful anticipation, the door swung open. A chill swept through the diner with the draft, and a stranger stepped inside, their silhouette framed against the midday sun. Everyone turned, curiosity piqued. Their arrival seemed like a twist in a story that was unfolding perfectly. What could this newcomer possibly want? And how would they either help or hinder the delicate progress made that day? The stranger stood in the doorway, hands shoved deep into the pockets of a long, dark coat. They paused, taking in the scene, and the diner fell quiet once more. A flicker of uncertainty ran through the crowd, a sense of both intrigue and apprehension. Sarah's heart raced. It felt like the air had thickened. Who was this person, and what road did their entrance open? The boss shifted his weight, narrowing his eyes slightly. He seemed both curious and protective, torn between wanting to welcome this newcomer and the fear of disruption. The door swung shut, sealing out the world outside, but what was to come inside was still a mystery. Can I help you? The boss finally asked, the words barely escaping him. His voice held an edge, one tempered by the earlier emotions, but the firmness suggested he would defend his ground if needed. The stranger stepped forward, revealing a face that was neither young nor old, with features that told untold stories. They took a breath, appearing to weigh their words carefully. I'm looking for someone, they said, scanning the room. I've heard whatever's happening here is important. A murmur surged through the crowd. Sarah felt a tight knot forming in her stomach. Was the newcomer here for the boss, or for someone else? Would they disrupt everything they had fought for today? Important how? Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling within her. The stranger focused on her, and she caught a glint of recognition in their gaze. Sarah, right? Yes, she could sense the eyes on her, the crowd leaning slightly closer, tension thickening once more. Do I know you? The stranger took another step, the weight of their presence heavy. Not yet, but I know about you. I've seen what you did today. You stood up when it mattered. Sarah's throat tightened at the acknowledgement. And who are you? I'm here on behalf of the community, they said, their voice gentle yet firm. I've been sent to help. There's a chance to change things for good, but it won't be easy. We face opposition, people who want to see this place fail. What do you mean? The words slipped out like a breath she hadn't meant to take. Your boss's intentions are only part of the picture. Not everyone is on board with this change. There are forces at play that want to keep this diner down, the stranger stated, cheeks flushing a little with fervor. If you truly want to rebuild, we'll need to unite everyone, even those who are unsure. The diners exchanged worried glances, a ripple of unease threading through the room. Sarah's mind raced. Change felt imminent. But was she prepared for the fights ahead? What forces were lurking behind the scenes, and who could they trust? Together we can do this, the stranger encouraged, eyes wide with determination. But it will require sacrifice and vigilance. Every voice matters, including yours. Threads of hope and fear intertwined within Sarah. The path forward sounded daunting, filled with uncertainties, but if they didn't rise together, what chance did they have? Okay, she whispered, her voice trembling with newfound courage. Let us do it. Just then, the boss let out a shaky laugh, more of disbelief than joy. Looks like we'll need everyone we can muster, then. But even as hope flickered, in the back of her mind, Sarah sensed the shadows gathering again, the challenge looming just beyond their reach. Would the diners stand tall enough to face whatever threat was coming? As the stranger prepared to outline the next steps, Sarah felt an undercurrent of dread. Not just outside forces, but deeper issues within the community needed addressing. Together they would need to confront them head-on. With everything on the precipice of change, she couldn't shake the question, what awaited them on this journey ahead? The strangers shifted slightly, their eyes scanning the faces around them, gauging reactions, calculating the weight of this moment. Sarah felt her heart pounding louder. It was as if everyone in the diner could hear its echo. She could sense the doubt creeping into their minds, the questions swirling almost audibly. Can we really do this? Are we strong enough? Let us start by getting everyone involved, the stranger suggested, a spark of enthusiasm lighting their features. Can you gather everyone who usually works here? We need to build a team. The boss nodded reluctantly, then raised his voice. Okay, everyone, listen up. I need all hands on deck. We're meeting in the back. The diners reluctantly stood, some casting nervous glances toward the newcomer as they shuffled to the back. Sarah felt a surge of determination. This wasn't just about the diner anymore. It was about the community. It was about the people who walked through these doors every day, seeking warmth and companionship in a world that often felt cold. They filled the cramped back room. The clatter of chairs and murmurs seemed to gradually fade into something resembling solidarity. The stranger watched them intently, their expression steady, almost magnetic. Thank you all for coming, they began, their voice calm. We're standing at a crossroads. Our diner represents more than just a place to eat. It serves as a hub for this community. We have an opportunity to turn it into something that reflects our hopes, but we'll need everyone's support. Keen eyes simmered with curiosity. Sarah noticed her coworkers, their expressions ranging from skepticism to cautious optimism. It was as if they were waiting for someone to lead them, to give a voice to the fear that had silenced them for too long. I don't know. One of the older waitresses spoke up, her palms work-worn. We lost customers when the diner went downhill. What can we really do to change that? The atmosphere tensed, but the stranger stepped forward, their voice rising above the murmurs. We all know this diner didn't just lose popularity. It lost its heart. It lost the connection with the very people who built it. That doesn't change overnight. But if we plan events, create community nights, and truly engage with our customers, we can bring them back. A ripple of enthusiasm began to spread through the group. Heads nodded, and whispers of agreement filled the air. Sarah felt hope bubbling within her, pushing back against the shadows of doubt. Like a cookout night? Another coworker suggested. Or a game night. We could invite families from the area. Exactly. The stranger beamed, the energy in the room shifting. We need to show this community that we care. We need to rebuild trust. Emotions surged through Sarah. This was their chance to reclaim what had been lost. But as enthusiasm took over, a flicker of fear crept back in. Would they face resistance like they had in the past? What would happen if this idea failed too? Just as she opened her mouth to voice her concern, a raucous laughter erupted from outside. The boss walked over to the window, only to find a group of familiar faces, friends from the diner, their smiles bright against the twilight. His face fell, knowing they'd witnessed the struggle ahead. They're coming here, but for what reason? He muttered, a deep furrow forming on his brow. Sarah's heart raced again. Were they here to support, or to poke fun? She stepped toward the door, determined to see for herself, but a hand grabbed her arm, a gentle, yet firm grip. Whatever they're here for, don't let fear steal your courage, the stranger said softly, their eyes unwavering. You have the power to show them something different. Let us start now. Her breath caught in her throat. She wasn't sure what lay ahead, but she knew they had to move forward together. Would they be able to transform this moment into something lasting? With the crowd outside eager for more, she stepped through the door, ready to face whatever came next, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and anxiety. But as she stepped outside, a chilling thought struck her. What if the community didn't want change after all? What if they'd rather keep the diner as just a fading memory? As Sarah opened the door, a gust of cool air swept in, brushing against her skin and tightening the knot in her stomach. The lively chatter and laughter of her friends turned into a symphony of uncertainty in her ears. They were gathered at the entrance, their expressions a mix of excitement and confusion. What is going on? One of her childhood friends, Mia, called out, her eyes sparkling with mischief. You're not closing down this dump, are you? The laughter bubbled and danced between the group, but it felt different to Sarah. Twinkling laughter masked a hint of disbelief, as if they didn't truly believe the diner was worth saving. She could feel the heat rising in her cheeks. No, not at all, Sarah said, gripping the doorframe tighter. We're actually planning something exciting. We think it's time to bring families back here, to make this diner a home again. The laughter dimmed, replaced by a murmur of skepticism. You mean like hosting events? Here? Mia asked, incredulity mixed with a hint of caring concern. Yes, the stranger chimed in, stepping beside Sarah, their voice smooth and inviting. The stranger must have sensed the hesitation in the air. We believe in creating a space where people can gather, share stories, and ignite the spirit of community. We can make this diner thrive again. Silence fell among the crowd. Faces shifted, some clinging to doubt, others gleaming with intrigue. It was a delicate moment. She could see the glimmer of hope in a few eyes, yet that familiar flicker of mistrust lingered beneath the surface. Sarah's heart sank as she caught glimpses of familiar expressions, those who had shared laughs and heartaches over greasy burgers and fries. Do you really think we can pull this off? After everything? Another friend, Jason, chipped in hesitantly. The uncertainty in his voice hung palpably around them. Listen, Sarah took a deep breath, searching for the right words. We've seen this place at its worst, but we can bring it back. Change takes time, togetherness, and a little bit of love. We need you to believe in this with us. Her voice trembled with emotion, each word piercing the doubt like a warm light in darkness. Some friends shifted their weight, quietly considering her plea. Then, a young girl from their group, Sarah's neighbor's daughter, stepped forward, clutching her doll tightly. I want to have a pancake breakfast, she declared, her voice small yet unwavering. In games like we used to. Mom says this diner used to be special. A ripple of soft laughter swept through the crowd, and for the first time since they came outside, hope began to flicker. Yeah, Mia chimed in, her lips curving into a warm smile. Maybe we could have a karaoke night, or bake sales. No one makes lasagna like my mom, we could do that too. Sarah felt her heart pounding with renewed energy, a surge of optimism flowing through her veins. This was what they needed, an idea sprouting from love and memories that could anchor them. See, we're already brainstorming. The stranger smiled, glancing at Sarah, their presence exuding warmth like a cozy fire. Just when it seemed they might come together, a shadow crossed over Jason's expression. But what if no one shows up? What if we fail? The worry that had haunted them all surfaced, and Sarah felt the weight of it pulling down the atmosphere again. She looked at him, realizing she needed to offer more than just empty hopes. Then we learn and try again. But I can't believe we've all come this far just to give up now. In that moment, staring into the eyes of her friends, Sarah felt a shift. Maybe this was not just about the diner. It was about healing the scars left on their hearts. As she held their gazes, a voice cried out from the back of the crowd. Cookout night it is then. But let us not do the same boring burgers. Let us spice it up. Laughter erupted, mingling with ideas that fluttered like butterflies. But before they could dive into another discussion, the stranger's tone shifted, shifting the energy again. All right, I believe this can be more than a plan, but are you all in? Because there will be challenges ahead. With this question hanging pregnant in the air, Sarah felt both hope and fear stirring inside. They had uncovered a spark, but could they carry it through the storm? Her heart raced at the thought. As the laughter and excitement continued to swirl around her, Sarah took in the faces of her community. They were ready, but were they truly ready? Just then, the older waitress, who had spoken out earlier, raised her hand. We all want to be part of this, but what if we don't have what it takes? The collective energy continued to buzz, but Sarah's breath hitched at the difficulty of that question. The weight of it loomed, larger than the flickering hope. What would it take to turn that hope into reality? And as the group began to find their rhythm, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, would everyone be on board when the real work began? The group fell silent as the waitress's words hung heavily in the air. Sarah could almost hear the distant ticking of a clock, every second a reminder of their shared fears. It was one thing to dream about reviving the diner, but the reality of commitment weighed heavily on each of them. Look, Sarah started again, her voice steady. I know it's scary to take a chance, but we can't let fear hold us back. We all have something to offer, and together, we can create something better than what we've lost. She wanted to believe that her enthusiasm would ignite unwavering faith in them. Mia nodded slowly. I get that, but it's not just about ideas, she said. We need to roll up our sleeves and really work at it. Are we ready for that? Absolutely, the stranger interjected, eyes brightening. We can plan events, decorate, and even promote the diner. It's about teamwork. When people see us coming together, they'll feel that energy. Jason remained unconvinced, his brow furrowed. And if it doesn't work? What then? The uncertainty in his tone mirrored the thoughts of several others. But before Sarah could respond, the little girl piped up again, her doll almost bouncing in her hands. I don't care if we fail. I just want to try. It will be fun, and we'll have pancakes. Her innocent determination pulled a warmth from the hearts of the group. Slowly, smiles began to break through the tension, and more laughter bubbled up. You know what? Mia said, glancing around. If a little girl wants pancakes, who am I to deny her? Sarah felt her heart lift. Then let us start with that. A pancake breakfast to kick things off. We can plan a grand opening and let the whole community know we're still here. Ideas circulated like a festival, each one more colorful than the last, fueled by laughter and possibility. Even Jason's expression softened as he began to scribble ideas down, tapping his fingers nervously against his leg, but unable to fully resist the budding excitement. The stranger watched with an approving smile, clearly pleased with how Sarah was rallying her friends. Their enthusiasm painted joy across the once dismal diner, a shelter of laughter and hope. But then, a sudden realization struck Sarah. She needed to ensure everyone understood the kind of dedication it would require. Remember, she said, raising her voice slightly to be heard over the chatter, this isn't just about one event. It's about coming together as a community. We have to be here for each other. We'll face setbacks and challenges, but we can't back down. We all have to put in the effort, and I can't do this alone. A hush fell again, this time mixed with compassion and readiness. But if we all do our part, we can create something real, she continued, conviction ringing in her voice. A murmur of agreement swept through the crowd. Sarah felt a stirring hope that they could indeed make this work if they committed to it fully. She could see it in their faces, a blend of fear, excitement, and determination. Okay, Jason finally said, his uncertainty easing. I'm in. I'll help with the cooking. And I can organize the decorations. Mia jumped in, her eyes sparkling. The brainstorming began to flow again, but this time it was fueled by tangible plans and actions. Each of them started to volunteer for tasks, their voices overlapping in a chorus of enthusiasm. Sarah felt like she could soar. They were moving towards something beautiful, but deep inside, anxiety loomed. What if when the time came to show the world what they had created, the support faded? What if the fears they were fighting against were still lurking beneath? As night fell and they prepared to part, Sarah swallowed hard, the weight of her thoughts heavy in her chest. They had taken a step forward, but could they follow through when doubt crept in? And just as they began to say their goodbyes, the stranger caught Sarah's eye, a reassuring smile on their face. You're not alone in this. Remember that. But the question lingered in Sarah's mind. Were they truly ready to carry this vision through, no matter the challenges that awaited? As she watched her friends disperse into the night, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Could they withstand the challenges together, or would old fears pull them apart once again? The next few days were a flurry of activity. Sarah felt the pulse of anticipation buzzing through her veins as she watched her friends working side by side, each of them pouring their passions into the reopening of the diner. Mia hung bright streamers in the windows, while Jason experimented in the kitchen, tossing flour and butter in joyful, haphazard splendor. The little girl with her doll even volunteered to be the taste tester, a role she embraced with a seriousness that made everyone laugh. Though excitement filled the air, Sarah occasionally caught glimpses of hesitation lurking behind Jason's eyes when he thought no one was watching. It worried her. She knew they couldn't afford to have one foot in and one foot out. Commitment was vital for their dreams to thrive. One evening, after a long day, Sarah decided to walk to the diner for a moment of serenity. The night was cool, the stars twinkling above like diamonds scattered across a velvet cloth. As she approached the diner, the warmly glowing lights inside felt inviting, the chatter and laughter spilling out into the night. But as she opened the door, the mood shifted. Inside, the air was thick with frustration. Jason stood by the counter, arms crossed, his expression stormy. Mia was at the far table, sorting through decorations, a frustrated sigh escaping her lips. The little girl sat quietly, her doll in her lap, sensing the tension. What is going on? Sarah asked, her heart sinking. Jason turned to face her, his voice low. I just don't think this is going to work, Sarah. What if no one comes? What if it's all for nothing? The doubt spilled out, heavy and sharp, like a stone dropped into a calm pond. Mia glanced up, concern etched on her face. I get it, Jason. I'm scared too. But we can't expect miracles overnight. Sarah's heart raced. She felt the weight of their fears pressing down. But we're building something together. It's okay to be scared. What matters is that we're trying. We owe it to ourselves to see this through. The room grew still, their eyes locked onto her. Sarah took a breath, letting the intensity of the moment wash over her. Do you remember why we started this? It's about more than pancakes. It's about community, family, support. Yes, it will be hard, and yes, we may face disappointment. But we also have the chance to create joy, laughter, and a place for people to come together. Mia's expression shifted, her cheeks flushing with determination. Sarah's right. We can't let the fear of failure overshadow what we're trying to achieve. Jason hesitated, the fight in him dimming as he felt the belief radiating from his friends. The little girl bounced in her seat, eyes wide. I'll help too. We can make it fun. I want to bring smiles to everyone. Slowly, a smile crept onto Jason's face, the tension breaking like a wave crashing against the shore. All right, let us do this. If we can encourage each other, then maybe we can pull through. With renewed energy, the group began to brainstorm again, laughing and planning late into the night. Work transformed into play. The fears still lingered like shadows, but they were ready to face them together. Sarah stepped back outside. She felt lighter, as if the stars above infused her with strength. This wasn't just about a diner. It was about rekindling hope in a place that had nearly forgotten what it felt like to be alive. But just as the weight of doubt seemed to lift, a chilling thought curled in Sarah's mind. What if hidden challenges lay ahead, ones she couldn't foresee? As she closed the door behind her, a flicker of unease rippled through her heart. Could their newfound spirit endure the obstacles that might emerge, or would it crumble under pressure when they least expected it? The next morning, the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm glow across the diner's freshly painted sign. Sarah arrived early, a swell of determination surging through her. Today was the day they would start setting up tables and chairs, transforming the space into something truly inviting. Yet, despite the light outside, there was a heaviness lingering in her chest. Jason was already there, fiddling with the coffee machine that had seen better days. He looked up, a flicker of apprehension still present in his eyes. Hey, ready for the big push today? He asked, attempting a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. Absolutely, Sarah replied, hoping her enthusiasm would spark a little brightness in him. As they began to arrange tables, Mia walked in, her arms full of colorful tablecloths and mismatched dishes. Good morning. Let's make this place a feast for the eyes. She flung the cloths over the tables, the colors bursting like flowers blooming. For a moment, it felt right full of laughter and joy. But then, the door swung open with a jingle, and in stepped a group of solemn-faced locals, all with their own concerns etched on their brows. The chatter quieted, and Sarah felt her throat tighten. Would they be welcome back? Can we help you? Jason asked tentatively. One of the locals, a tall man named Mr. Thomas, stepped forward. We were hoping to find out what you're doing here, he grumbled, arms crossed tightly. Last time there was talk of a diner, it was just more broken promises. Sarah's heart sank. We're bringing back the diner because we believe in our community, she said, pouring her heart into the words. This is about creating a space for everyone. We want to serve good food, but more importantly, we want to bring people together. A murmur swept through the group, uncertainty shadowing the eagerness that had filled the diner just moments before. Jason shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Sarah as if seeking an escape. Your last community event almost left us in debt, came a voice among the crowd. What makes this any different? Mia stepped forward, her expression serious yet hopeful. Because we are different. We are not just reopening. We're reviving connections that faded. We're committed to making this a place of trust and happiness for everyone. Sarah could feel the doubt thickening again, like fog rolling in on a bright morning. We can't promise perfection, but we promise to try our hardest, she added, her voice steady. And we love your ideas. We're listening. The locals exchanged wary glances. Slowly, the tension shifted, and one of the women in the group spoke up. I suppose some fresh starts are worth the effort, but we need to see it to believe it. With every word, Sarah's heart ached to prove that their hopes were grounded in something real. What if they couldn't turn hearts around? What if they failed? That day, the crew worked harder than ever, fueled by the uncertainty, but also by a glimmer of hope. They worked through the late afternoon, laughing, and occasionally falling into silence as they pondered what lay ahead. Just as they began to see progress, the little girl with the doll returned, her tiny frame illuminated in the fading light. "Are we really going to have pancakes?" she asked, her wide eyes sparkling with innocence. "Absolutely," Sarah replied, kneeling to meet her gaze. "And more. We'll have everything: love, laughter, and maybe even a dance party." "Can I dance too?" The girl beamed. "I wouldn't have it any other way," Jason said, his worry momentarily forgotten. Yet, as Sarah looked at the smiling girl, the tension knotted in her stomach tightened again. Deep down, she sensed that the real challenge was only beginning. What if the fear of failure wasn't the biggest obstacle, but rather the struggle to embrace the vulnerability that came with opening their hearts? Just then, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, followed by frenzied chatter. Sarah's heart raced. What was that? Before she could find out, a shadow moved past her, making her stomach drop. Could it be the breaking point they were all fearing? The clatter of forks and knives was replaced by uneasy whispers. Sarah rushed to the kitchen, her heart pounding with dread. Was the fragile connection they built about to shatter? Inside, chaos reigned. The griddle was smoking, and Jason stood over a spilled bucket of flour, his face streaked in disbelief. "I couldn't get the mixer working, and everything just..." Mia rushed in, eyes wide. "What happened? Can we fix it?" In that frantic moment, Sarah felt the weight of it all pressed down on her. This diner, this community, they were almost within reach. Yet, every setback twisted like a knife in her heart. "We can fix this," she said, voice steadier than she felt. "Everyone, deep breath. Let us focus." With a little determination, the team rallied together. Mia grabbed a mop, while Jason handed her towels frantically. The little girl, sensing the urgency, mimicked their enthusiasm, her laughter slicing through the tension, coaxing smiles from all sides as they worked side by side. Sarah realized something profound. This wasn't just about rebuilding the diner. It was about mending the frail threads of their lives. Each moment of laughter, each tiny triumph, echoed like a drumbeat, fortifying their resolve. Even amidst chaos, hope shined bright. It became contagious. Hours later, as the last remnants of mess disappeared and laughter filled the air once more, something shifted. Sarah stepped outside and drew in a breath of the crisp evening air. For the first time in days, the anxiety loosening its grip and a sense of lightness settled over her. Her friends joined her on the porch, exhaustion painting their faces, yet satisfaction radiating from each of them. "We did it." Mia beamed, her cheeks flushed. "Yeah, look at what we've created," Jason laughed, hope flickering in his eyes. "I mean, on our way to disaster." Sarah couldn't help but smile. "And we'll face more challenges together. But here, right now, it feels right." Just then, the silhouette of townsfolk began to gather across the street, their expressions etched with curiosity. Word must have gotten around about their work. An elderly couple from the diner passed. Familiar faces that once shared countless breakfasts stepped forward amongst the group. "Is this place back to life?" Mr. Thomas called out, a hesitant smile spreading across his lips. "It is," Sarah said, her heart racing. "Let us celebrate tonight. Welcome back." She gestured to the brightly colored banners and smiles of her friends, her voice ringing with warmth. Pushed by collective courage, the diner evolved from a struggle-filled past to a vibrant gathering space. Laughter echoed as families trickled in, intrigued by the bright lights and the pandemonium of neighbors reconvening. Together, they carried platters filled with pancakes, colorful fruits, and homemade syrups. Joy bubbled over, the laughter and chatter of the bustling crowd mixing seamlessly. Children danced in the corners, and the elderly couples reminisced over stories and happily shared memories of late-night cups of coffee and laughter-filled meals. For every plate served, an unspoken bond stitched itself tighter among them. But even amid celebration, shadows of doubt lingered in Sarah's heart. Would they stay together? Every heartbeat echoed the possibility of retreat. Just then, the stranger appeared beside her, noticing her moment of hesitance. "You made this happen, Sarah. You united them, and they're here because of you." Trust this shift is real. As the sun dipped low, casting golden rays inside, Sarah felt the weight of his words settle deep within her. Transformations didn't come from grand gestures, but instead grew through the simple, everyday acts of love like pancakes shared, laughter exchanged, and kindness forged into friendships. With newfound courage, Sarah stood taller, her heart beating in rhythm with the joyous pulse of their gathering crowd. Tonight, we honor the lives we intertwine here, she called out, excitement bubbling over. Together, we rise. And with every bite, we celebrate who we are. The space erupted in applause, energy cascading like love, rippling through the crowd. Now, they were more than just individuals within those walls. They were a family, bolstered by hope, determination, and a commitment to one another. As the music filled the air, laughter echoed in waves, and the diner felt alive in the most profound way. The shadows of uncertainty faded, replaced by radiant smiles and celebrations of unity. In that moment, Sarah realized this was the beginning. They were on a journey, one fueled by love, resilience, and willingness to embrace vulnerability. And as she looked around, she knew, deep down, that with each other, they would be ready for whatever awaited them. The diner wasn't merely a place. It was a heartbeat of their community, a home where transformation thrived. Now, if you want to experience more stories like this, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't wait. This is the moment to show your support for the stories that inspire and unite us all. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the positivity flowing. And comment below your thoughts, reactions, and feelings about this ending. Every voice matters. Finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and join our journey. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Let us create a community where hope lives. Together, we can change the world one story at a time.